being
dead. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show here at Big TV. This is the November 14th edition of the Fun Show, the first since the demise of the United States of America. So it's coming to you from the New England Republic, and where freedom is still hanging on, and rationality.
We're going to
And
make America great again.
what America? It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. It's finished. I have a wonderful article here, which I refer you to the New York Review of Books if you want to read it yourself, which says Autocracy, Rules for Survival. And it suggests that what Hillary Clinton should have said is, thank you, we have lost. We have lost, and this is the last day of my political career, so I will say what must be said. We are standing at the edge of the abyss. Our political system, our society, our country itself are in greater danger than any time in the last century and a half. The president-elect has made his intentions clear, and it would be immoral to pretend otherwise. We must band together to defend the laws, institutions, and ideals on which our country was based. But instead, we've got all these Democratic politicians telling us to accept the results. He's going to be president. Cooperate with him. Give him a chance. Give him a chance is a little bit like looking up in the seat of your Uber driver and saying it's a chimpanzee. And saying, I'm a little disappointed and surprised, but let's give him a chance.
Give him a chance.
Maybe he won't roll off the road.
I think it's just very sad that you have gone through World War II, was shot down at a Jewish American in a prisoner of war camp, and now you're having to see this all over again because this man is not going to be he's a chancellor as far as I'm concerned. He's bringing it, it's coming back. It's coming back. Giuliani is what, Mussolini?
It's 1933 in Russia.
Yeah.
The Wehrmacht Republic has fallen. Hitler is about to take power. But I point out to you folks that he is not president-elect yet. I'm sick and tired of the press and other politicians who should know better calling him president-elect. The fact of the matter is we have a constitution still in the United States. He hasn't repealed it yet. And under that constitution, he isn't president-elect until the Electoral College votes on December 19th. And one of the reasons to create the Electoral College was to prevent runaway populism. The Founding Fathers did not believe in direct democracy, and they call them now unfaithful electors. But the fact of the matter is that that's what the college was established for. Of course, they probably expected them to protect them from Andrew Jackson, but they didn't. But in 1836, 23 Virginia electors abstained. And as recently as 1912, 8 Republican electors voted for the Democratic candidate. If 21 Republican electors decide that Donald Trump is too dangerous for America and vote their conscience, Donald Trump will not be president of the United States. Now, it's a slight hope, but it's worth hanging on to.
Very slight, but we're hoping.
But it's worth hanging on to.
Think of Carl Lewis.
Huh?
Think of Carl Lewis in the Olympics.
Yeah.
They caught that guy, and they took the gold medal away from him. They had to give it to Carl. So maybe she'll be Carl Lewis.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's good. I like that.
Well, Jesse did pretty good.
But the thing is, we really need to do it then, because if we wait for him to be impeached, which seems unlikely, since he holds all the reins of power, but if we wait for him to be impeached, then we get Mr. Pence.
We got Mr. Bannon,
And
too.
Mr. Pence is worse. Anyway, in an
For
autocracy,
women, he's terrible.
in an autocracy, rule number 1 is believe the autocrat. He means what he says. Whenever you find yourself thinking that he's exaggerating, forget it. Back in the 30s, the New York Times assured its readers that Hitler's anti-Semitism was all posture. So
It's changing.
here's he has the intention, which he has stated, of jailing his political opponents, of removing the libel laws so that he can sue anybody in the press who says anything he doesn't like.
But what about
Trump
the
will be-
lawsuit he faces?
He will begin by
Wait a minute.
trying to capture the judicial system.
Could a president go to court about
No, he
Trump
can't.
University?
Yes?
It's supposed to be a
And the
fraud.
hearing is before he's anything
Yeah.
other than a candidate, because he's still just a candidate. And since he plans to use the judicial system to carry out political vendettas, his pick for attorney general will be very important. The second rule is don't be taken in by small signs of normalcy. Rule 3 is institutions will not save you. It took Putin a year to take over the Russian media and 4 years to dismantle its electoral system. The judiciary collapsed unnoticed.
Wait a minute, that's his friend, isn't it?
That's their
Yes.
buddy.
Now, well, that's his model. That's what he believes in. So everybody's saying, well, let's organize for the election in 2018 and 2020.
Right.
What makes us think that there will be an election?
There's a question.
Who makes us think? I mean, did Hitler hold elections or fair, open elections
No.
after
not really.
1933?
And Mussolini, he's had. That's where the ride came in when the fascists put an enemy in the car and fed him. What do you call it? That stuff that makes you sick to your stomach? Castor oil. That was the castor oil treatment on the ride. I mean, for real.
In an autocracy, politics as the art of the possible is in fact utterly immoral. So the thing is, we have to fight. If you know anybody who lives in a state that went red, who is reasonable and responsible, tell them to find the names of the electors in their state and start a campaign to convince these electors to vote
We're gonna
for Hillary.
We're gonna end. Yeah, we're going.
Now, his people will go crazy and we'll probably have to call out the National Guard, but at least we can now call out the National Guard.
Well,
Now, while we're at it, another thing. A very good case has just recently been made that the president is entitled to appoint his nominee to the Supreme Court, because there is a universal principle in federal law
yeah.
that if you do not assert your rights, your constitutional rights, in a timely manner, you have waived them. The United States Senate is entitled to advise and consent, but if they don't do anything, they have waived that right.
That's what I always
Because
thought.
that phrase comes between nominate and appoint. The president has the power to appoint in the Constitution. The average time for them to advise and consent historically has been 35 days. The longest period ever in history was 125, previous to this Senate. So 90 days is a very reasonable rule. And you simply say, in the 90 days after I submitted this nomination, you chose not to advise and not to consent. You have waived that right, and the president is entitled to appoint his nominee to the Supreme Court.
So you think he'll do it?
I don't know. He's been pretty gutless since the election so far.
Oh, he might do it. He might.
It would be cool.
If
but,
we called
but
him
don't
up
you-
on the phone and told him.
But don't you admit that he's been pretty abjectly gutless since the election?
Well,
I think he was maybe waiting and hoping and praying that Hillary would get in.
No, I know.
And
I said since the election.
yeah,
I mean, he should have gotten rid of that FBI czar
well, he could
the
have.
day after the day after the election. He didn't have to make conciliatory speeches. He didn't have to welcome Herr Trump and his illegal immigrant wife to the White House. You know, none of these things were necessary. They treated him like he was a normal candidate, and there's nothing normal about it.
Why can't we see his wife's record, her immigration status? Is it really legal? I want to see that record.
Somebody should start screaming for her, you know, to see her.
show her
see her-
papers.
the way they wanted to see this man's birth certificate. They wanted to see the president's birth certificate.
Well, we still wanted to see Herr Trump's taxes.
Yeah.
That's
Or
right. What
lack-
How
about?
did he get
or
away
lack
with that for
thereof.
so long? That's what I don't understand. How he was allowed to get away with that. How he was allowed to run for office.
How he was allowed to get away with anything. I mean, all the things he got away
Well,
with.
not my president.
We're probably blaming it on social media, which is not to say that the Democratic campaign didn't fall down
Well,
in some places. For example, losing Wisconsin, having never set foot there in the primary or the general election.
let's talk about things.
If you were in Wisconsin, you'd be a little teed off.
Let's
about
talk about things like Obamacare. Even today, he said, the president said on television that he would didn't think that would work out too well.
doing away with it.
Yeah, he didn't see that being done. As you said,
Well, Trump now says
there's
that
no plan to do anything.
Trump now says he's going to keep two of the major portions of it anyway,
Okay.
or at least in the interview, if you can believe anything he says.
Now, what about climate change?
But here's the thing: he says there's going to be no gap. That is, he's going to get rid of Obamacare in the first 100 days, but he's going to replace it with no gap.
right.
And nobody's written a replacement for
There's
it.
no plan.
He is so unrealistic.
So all these people that voted for him will be without medical care.
Yeah.
They could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the Supreme Court okays executive action like that, would they?
What I'm hoping,
God.
given his age, is that he starts to realize what he's gotten into and has a coronary before the 19th of December.
Well,
They say God don't like ugly. He's going to come down and
Now they
smite
say-
this one.
If there's a God, he wouldn't have been elected.
Well, you know,
one of these assistants said that wall that everybody's yelling about that he's supposed to have is a metaphor for a wall. It's not really. a
no.
wall.
He said he was going to have the Mexicans build it. This I want to see.
No, now it's a metaphor.
Oh.
No. He just
Metaphorical.
all he said on 60 Minutes was that part of the wall might be a fence.
They
You know.
got a fence of 700 miles. They got one down there.
Well, the other thing about it is that the Mexicans have gotten very good at tunneling under things, you know. So even his wall is no big deal.
How would Janet Reno have fared, the poor woman?
You know what? You know what his wall is? His wall is the fact that no self-respecting Mexican's going to want to come to this country.
Well, that's already happened.
That's the wall.
And people-
The wall is they're not going to want to come.
They're going to say, as we say in the hood, fair. fair.
Yeah, fair. Okay. you
Ugh.
got
That
it.
sounds like good Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. Thick smog in India's capital, and the residents need air purifiers, and old people are dying from lung diseases, and young too. Very serious
Where are you
stuff.
talking? China?
No, this is India.
Oh, India.
India. Very serious stuff there.
India, as far as the standard of living, is worse than China.
I think so.
You know, they have.
They have a democracy. India.
Okay.
Well, they do. And they try to do things, and they have the
You mean
nuclear.
their child slave labor is?
I can't. I'm not going to argue that, but they got a nuclear bomb too. The Indians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so do the Pakistanis.
Okay. So what do we got? Well, we're still all right. And what do we
When
have here?
Alabama gets the bomb, who's next? Who's next?
What do I got here? I got down. Trump wants to rebuild NASA. You know that was a big article I saw too I think I saw it in the
Rebuild
Wall
NASA.
Street
He
Journal.
wants to go to Mars. Is that it?
Yes, not just explore our whole planetary system, that we should send and be prepared for colonizing Mars.
Another nice thing the middle class can pay for after he gets in his tax code, which means no rich person pays any more than he does. In other words, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
You know, I mean, you can't even call it a tax rate because it's zero.
They're going to do
You know,
away.
if you're a billionaire, you pay nothing. So we have to pay for him to put a big Trump T on Mars? I don't think so.
A bigger states tax has to be repealed, and that's for people earning 5 million and up.
And up.
Yeah.
And up. If you're poor, you're not allowed to leave anything to your children. But if
but-
you're filthy rich,
Okay.
you can take care of it.
But if you're poor, you don't have anything to leave to your children.
Do you think he's going to put a big gold Trump sign on the White House?
That's what someone said.
I don't know, but in our bases in Iraq and Afghanistan, if any that are still there, they have burning pits. We'll talk about after the
Burning pits?
burning pits, which a lot of
That have
vets
anything to do with s'mores?
No, this is that's good.
Good face there.
Well, this will be a good time for
face.
America to take up a book and start reading
How
again.
about
Oh,
an
good.
emoji?
Would you like to suggest one?
Well, there's a great number of them. How about
Give us the name of that.
well,
one.
there's
You told us.
PAX.
It's very good.
there's some new ones about of all things the Holocaust, the tree in the courtyard, looking through
Okay,
Anne Frank's
okay.
window,
That's-
preaching to the chickens.
That's timely.
Yep, the story of young John Lewis,
Good.
and then
That's the one I want.
there's the one by Ashley Bryan, my friend Ashley Bryan, who's only 94 years young.
God bless him.
Yeah, Freedom Over Me, which is about 11 slaves.
Is it? How many has he written? Other things?
Oh my goodness, yeah, he's written books of poetry and he's
Oh,
illustrated
good.
a lot of things.
I'm intrigued by the headline of this section. Black lives didn't matter.
Yeah, well, because they were slaves.
Okay. Oh, here we come.
And apparently they
They
don't
did
again.
Yeah,
They
you
don't
got it.
count.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the big Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation for this evening, selected carefully out of the vault to have very few political references and hopefully a giggle or two in it, appropriate for this time. It is entitled, quixotically, Summertime.
And
Summertime, summertime.
and President George W. Bush we had then, who I think was pretty good compared to. Yeah.
We're all this. You want to know how bad it is, folks? We're getting nostalgic about W. Bush.
I liked him, man. I wish I could have got one of his bicycles for a souvenir, but I didn't get. He had it. Yeah, he used to play. He used to ride it. Okay,
Segway.
go ahead.
Yeah.
School's out. It's summer vacation.
What do Iraqi kids do?
Why?
Well, most of their schools have been shut.
Well, smash shut.
For religious reasons?
No, actually, it's just the war.
Yes, but they reopen
That depends.
Not if there's any fighting nearby.
when school's in session.
She doesn't get it.
Insurgents fortify some of the schools.
It's the war zone.
What about pacification?
What about occupation?
Anyway, the kids are around.
Some summer vacation.
I suppose.
But it's always summer there.
Palm trees, camels, heat.
Summertime. Palm trees, camel. You left out sand dunes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You left out sand dunes.
Yeah, cut it out.
Yes, that's stereotyping, I think.
Okay, they all have SUVs.
And our armored vehicles. don't
Blown up.
Rather cynical, aren't we?
forget. But teens need jobs.
Resumes, experience.
Well, I was firing mortars and rifle grenades.
Do they practice with them?
Probably on our troops.
Oh, terrible. She's serious.
So are the terrorists.
By September, it'll be calmer, than, says Petraeus.
The general. Competition for jobs is less now.
That's right, because girls aren't allowed outside.
What do they do?
Clean, cook, and sweat.
It's pretty boring.
Anyway, everyone's trying to get out of Iraq.
If they can pay,
Yeah, all the professionals are fleeing.
But lots of poor kids left behind.
those looking for work,
So they fill out tons of applications.
If they can still read and write.
can they be trusted?
They're very good at stacking shells and RPGs.
But if businesses are demolished
Then it's the customer service desk.
to deal with complaints,
No, to call the ambulance for the wounded.
Sounds dangerous.
I thought Baghdad was safe.
Oh, yeah? Ask Cheney.
But we already had the surge.
Yeah, for that you can ask the jihadists.
Their youths need constructive things to do.
Yeah, like stack old bricks from destructive buildings.
These are responsible youngsters.
How about washing cars
Appearances count, neatness.
Maybe babysitting.
or couch potatoing?
Prospective employers seek initiative.
Politeness and good manners are vital.
Well, there is a future for them.
Who knows?
Ask President Maliki, Ambassador Crocker, or Admiral Mullen.
Suddenly he's practical.
They need survival skills. the
You have
kids,
to be very alert.
to spot snipers.
Take cover quickly.
But these are only kids.
And ripped jeans don't cut it.
Can't wait for the American advisor.
I think the three of us should run for office.
Well, everybody else is.
I do have many good ideas.
And I am a natural born leader.
This conversation is weird.
Well, you'd know.
We don't live in Iraq.
Right, on anything is possible.
You could be an illegal immigrant.
Very divisive for our country.
So is Iraq with its refugees.
So, you want to run for elective office? With 'em?
My unemployed relatives are envious of all these refugees.
They do harvest crops.
There's 12 million of them.
And we've also got Iraq and Afghanistan on our hands.
Everyone wants health insurance and Social Security.
Good issues.
The national debt is enormous and is doing nothing but growing.
And that's what's going to happen.
There, there have to be fair resolutions.
That's why she should be a candidate.
Yeah, better her.
I want my privacy.
Grandstanding doesn't help.
The anchors will eat her alive.
But she's a good debater.
Got facts and figures at my fingertips.
So, what are you waiting for?
Your money and help.
She doesn't have any political experience.
Why, she doesn't even have a Twitter account.
Doesn't even look presidential.
But I'm a straight talker.
Yep, that's it. You better give up.
At least I could try.
You won't make a ripple.
It's a new game, though.
Yeah, might win the adolescents.
But do you have any skeletons in your closet?
I'm pure.
It's all image and name recognition.
Do you know any pollsters personally?
I gotta be in the middle of the pack anyways.
I'm against gun control.
Oh, and corruption in government?
Excellent so far.
Who cares about polls?
Send them to Albania.
Yes, keep her out of Iowa.
New Hampshire will work,
Some questions can be awful tough.
but it's summertime.
Yeah, school vacation.
Hate to bring it up. Susan.
I know we're fighting a war.
So, what's your plan for those Iraqi kids now?
Lemonade stands.
Blackout.
Okay.
All right,
There
there we go.
Okay.
A little laugh. Take it
Okay.
back to the joyous days of war in Iraq and things that we could deal with.
Yes.
You know, Mr. Trump is enjoying the prospect of his popularity. He's really quite smug about it. He says Facebook got him elected. And he's the kind of megalomaniac who will want to maintain that level of popularity. And the only way to do that is to keep us at war.
Well, the
So
vets,
there will be lots of wars.
the
will
American
be.
vets who are coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, and now
Well,
some of them are on.
Syria.
Syria, yeah. Well, anyways, they're coming back and they got these lung diseases. Nobody knows why. They're young people, and the disease that they bring coming back is for old people. Why?
They probably have asbestos insulation in their vehicles.
No, this is something worse. Every base over there, in the desert, they don't have enclosed incinerators, which cost a lot of money to bring them over there and operate. So what they do is
They
dig-
burn in open pits.
Right, they dig a hole in the desert and they pour in everything: electronics, plastics, the limbs of poor vets, tires, toxic, everything that you can think of goes in.
Yeah.
And then the toxic fumes cover the camp, and everybody's breathing it in. So he said he was going to help the vets. He made a promise. He was going to do good things.
The chancellor?
The chancellor?
The man, Mr. Trump, I think.
Chancellor Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what he does. For the VA isn't all that pleased with it, all this stuff, but I think it's they have a real good shot at getting something out of this.
Shot. Operative word shot.
Shot.
They have a real good chance of getting shot.
I don't. It will be interesting to see. I'm still hoping that we can prevent this because it's still possible.
Do you think he'd
But-
like this idea of
You gonna be
doing
the
away
new
with
Jesse Jackson. Keep hope alive.
do
Keep
away
hope alive. That's right.
What about doing away with paper money? You got these Harvard economists that
Let's
wanna-
burn it in an open pit.
Well, we would at the beginning, but he would like it because all these guys who are dope dealers, big time, billions they make, they have their
They operate on
activities.
huge bundles of $100
Yeah,
bills.
but also 50s and 100s. Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay. I got a book here too.
We can't
Wasn't that the big deal of our taking, big pallet loads of $100 bills to Iraq?
Yeah.
Or no, to Iran.
Iran, yeah.
Right.
It was. I watched that.
And in big bins.
I watched that. It was
It's the one currency that you can be pretty sure they'll take anywhere. It's harder to get rid of a $100 bill in the United States than it is in most countries
know.
around the world.
Well, you know why he'll want to get rid. The chancellor will want to get rid of paper money is because they're going to change that $20 bill and put a black woman on the back of it.
And they
So
don't wanna do
therefore,
that.
he's not going to want that. He's not going to want.
well, the Pats didn't do all that well yesterday, and then
We
they
went
had
from
the-
a black woman on $20 to the Pats. Okay.
Yeah, well, he was thinking of I don't know, some football player. I don't know what it was.
But Belichick's letter telling Trump what a great man he is, I guess, and
Made
Tom-
us all happy they lost.
Yeah, and then Tom Brady telling everybody that he supports Trump.
Well,
I
he
guess.
didn't. He didn't. Trump did.
But Trump did. Trump did it for both of them.
Trump did, and
They're not unhappy about it.
and he didn't say no. Then when they asked him about it, he said, "My wife tells me I can't talk about it."
Yeah.
But that's enough. That's enough of an approval. And we know that Kraft was with them.
No, wrong. He wasn't on this. Kraft says here, he says business didn't endorse anybody. The Pats brand and business didn't endorse anybody or anything. No policy to discourage employees from publicly endorsing the candidates.
Michael, that's nice what you just read. There's Spin Master.
Well,
Kraft had Trump at his house for a fundraiser.
I know.
So that's all bullshit.
Manure.
Merde.
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 Okay, that's
Of course, the
good.
Republicans are mad if you speak French.
Yeah.
Well, the charter thing.
Well, play.
Okay, the charter thing didn't pass.
Thanks, folks.
Okay.
America ended last Tuesday, but we go on in fond hope. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. We'll see you in our dreams. Good night, Irene. Good night, everybody, from the Fun Show at Big TV. See you next week, same time.